Yeah, good morning, student. Today we are going to discuss about the lecture number 27. The topic is epilepsy. So, what is epilepsy? Epilepsy is a central nervous system disorder, also called as neurological disorder, in which brain activity is going to become abnormal, causing seizures or periods of unusual behavior. So, we know that the brain is made up of millions of neurons and they are interconnected, releasing neurotransmitters. So, and they are releasing the neurotransmitter at particular rate. If that release is going to increase, we also say that neuronal discharge is going to increase, then leads to epileptic seizures. That is, normal brain contains billions of neurons which fires asynchronously. Asynchronously means they are releasing the neurotransmitters at different times, not at the same time. There is inhibitory neurotransmitters like GABA, which regulate the frequency of firing of individual neurons and prevent synchronizations. So we know that the brain is having both neurotransmitter, that is excitatory neurotransmitter, and inhibitory neurotransmitter. So this is the inhibitory neurotransmitters which is balancing the excitatory neurotransmitters. That's why they are not the neurons are not so excited. They are not releasing the neurotransmitter at very excited state. When such inhibitory feedback is defective, a large number of cells in the given area of the brain fire at the same time. So if that inhibitory neurotransmitter is not available, then the large number of cells in the brain starts releasing the neurotransmitter at the same time. That's we say it as they synchronize and produce self-regenerating electrical impulse. And such areas we say that epilepsy is started, that constitute an epileptic focus. So it is also, epilepsy is also called as high neuronal discharge, that is the releasing the neurotransmitter at synapse at higher rate, at higher speed. Then what is the difference between seizure and epilepsy? Seizure is abnormal electrical event in the CNS. Electrical events in the sense means the release of neurotransmitter in the synapse happens because of the influx and efflux of ions through ion channels that constitute impulse. So these are the change of plus and minus, that is polarization and depolarization across the axonal membrane. So that's why we call it as electrical events. So seizure is abnormal electrical event in the CNS, whereas epilepsy, if this electrical events, abnormal electrical activity in the CNS is going to occur again and again, that is called recurrent abnormal electrical activity, then that is called as epilepsy. Epilepsy is also called as seizure, sometimes it is also called as convulsion, and in Hindi this type of disease is called as mirgi. So epilepsy is a group of neurological disorder characterized by epileptic seizures. Epileptic seizures are episodes that can be for a very small time that you cannot detect also. So, and from that it can up to long periods where the body is having a vigorous shaking. So that can be of a very small, that is brief time, and it can be of long periods. These episodes can result in physical injuries, including occasionally broken bones. So it depends upon the patient suffering from epilepsy, if they are driving, or if they are crossing the roads, or if they are involved in many types of activities. So in between, if they get this epileptic seizures, that conditions make him to fall in any condition and can result into different types of injury, where most of the times broken bones have been seen. In epilepsy, seizures tends to reoccur. It occurs again and again, and as a rule, have no immediate underlying cause, and we cannot immediately find out what was the cause which is making this occurs again and again. Then isolated seizures are those seizures which happens because of some unwanted conditions like poisoning, but this isolated seizure we cannot call it as epilepsy. It cannot represent epilepsy. And people with epilepsy in some areas of the world experience varying degree of social stigma. Social stigma is nothing but it is a discrimination due to their condition. We know that in society, the people having this problem, the people discriminates. Then symptoms of epilepsy, there is a temporary confusion. So the patient looks confused, staring a spell. The patient starts staring in one direction without any reason. Then uncontrollable jerky movements of the arms and legs. Then arms and legs start showing jerky movement. Then there will be a loss of consciousness and awareness. Where loss of consciousness means patients will not fall and have no consciousness and is not knowing what is happening around nearby surrounding. That is loss of awareness. Some psychic symptoms such as fear and anxiety take place. These are the symptoms of epilepsy. Then types of epilepsy. Generally, we have two types of epilepsy based upon the area of the brain involved. If the area of the brain involved is very small area, then that type of epilepsy is called as focal seizures. Or if whole brain is involved, whole part of the brain is involved, where that abnormal neurotransmitter discharge is taking place at higher rate, then that type of epilepsy or seizure is called as generalized seizure. So we have focal seizure and generalized seizure. Focal seizure is also called as partial seizure. So when seizure appears to result from abnormal activity in just one area of your brain, not all the area, very small area of your brain, then they are called as focal, also called as partial seizure. And this focal or partial seizure may be again of two types. One is called as focal seizure without loss of consciousness and focal seizures with impaired awareness. This focal seizures without loss of consciousness is also called as simple partial seizure, and focal seizures with impaired awareness is also called as complex partial seizures. So the difference is that in this there is a loss of consciousness, and in this there is no loss of consciousness, whereas in complex partial seizure there is a loss of consciousness or awareness. So this focal seizures without loss of consciousness, also called as simple partial seizures, and this is the seizures where the patient do not lose their consciousness. They may alter emotions or change the way things look, smell, feel, taste or sound. They may also result in involuntary jerking of a body part such as arm or leg, and spontaneous sensory symptoms like tingling, dizziness and flashing lights. Whereas focal seizures with impaired awareness, also called as complex partial seizures, and this seizure involve a change or loss of consciousness or awareness. And during complex partial seizures, you may stare into space. You will start looking into the space without reason and not respond normally to your environment or perform repetitive movements. There is a kind of movement where the patients will keep on repeating, such as hand rubbing, chewing, swallowing, or walking in a circle. So these are some repetitive movements which comes under focal seizures with impaired awareness. So the first type, that is called partial seizure, which is also called as focal seizures. It is of two types. simple partial seizure and complex partial seizures. Now the second type is called generalized seizures. It is the seizures where involves all the areas of the brain. So whole brain areas is involved. Whole brain area, whole neurons of the brain is involved, and they are generalized seizure. And we have generally 6 types of generalized seizure. First is absence seizure, second is tonic seizure, third is atonic seizure, fourth is clonic seizure, fifth is myoclonic seizure, and sixth is tonic-clonic seizure. And in some books they have also mentioned one more type, that is called as status epilepticus. So let's see what is this different types of generalized seizures. First is absence seizures. It is also called as petit mal seizure. Often it occurs in the children and are characterized by staring into space. The patient starts staring into space, or subtle body movement such as eye blinking or lip smacking. These seizures may occur in cluster and cause a brief loss of awareness. That is absence seizure. Tonic seizures is the seizures which cause a stiffening of muscles, and this seizure usually affect muscles in your back, arms and legs, and may cause you to fall to the ground, generally fall backward because the back muscle is involved. That is tonic seizure. Atonic seizures, also known as drop seizures, cause a loss of muscle control. There will be no control over the muscle, and which may cause you to suddenly collapse or fall down, also called as fall forward. In this atonic seizure, the patient fall forward, whereas in tonic seizures, the patient fall backward. Then clonic seizures are associated with repeated or rhythmic jerky muscle movements. So because of this jerky muscle movement, which is also called as convulsion, and in this seizure it usually affects the neck, face and arms. So that is clonic seizure. Then next we have our myoclonic seizures. Myoclonic seizures usually appear as a sudden brief jerks or twitches of your arms and legs. That is short muscle twitches. Myo means muscle. So generally there is short muscle involvement. Then tonic-clonic seizure. Tonic-clonic seizure is also called as grand mal seizures. It is the most dramatic type of epileptic seizure and can cause abrupt loss of consciousness, body stiffening and shaking, and sometimes loss of bladder control, where the patient can urinate also, or biting your tongue. So that is tonic-clonic seizures. So I will show you a small video where all types of seizures patients have been shown. See, this is a generalized tonic-clonic seizure. This is a tonic phase, and then there will be a clonic phase. So that's why it is called as tonic-clonic seizure. Then seizure is stopped, and then recovery, that is post-ictal phase. This seizure attacks takes very brief time, small times. Then this is myoclonic seizure, that is abnormal motor activity. Myoclonic, where you can see that abnormal motor activity, that is a certain brief jerk or twitches of arms and legs is taking place. So this is the myoclonic seizure. Then this is atonic seizure. And we know in atonic seizures, also called as drop seizure, loss of muscle control, which may cause you to suddenly collapse. And this is absence seizure, that is jerky movement. This is absence seizures, where the patient is starts staring into the space, then seizure stops. This is you can say focal seizures, that is complex partial seizure, walking in circle. So these are the various types of seizure. You have seen the videos. After this, we are going to discuss the etiology, where they have said that about half of the patient epileptic seizures, the reason is not known, when other half there are some reasons, some etiology like genetic influence, head trauma, brain conditions, infectious disease, prenatal injury, and some developmental disorders, which can lead to epilepsy. So genetic influence, some types of epilepsy which are categorized by the type of seizure you experience or the part of the brain that is affected, run in families. So if the father or mother is having these problems, generally it may seen their into their children. So that's why we say that it runs in family. It is related with the genes. In this case, it's likely that there is a genetic influence. Then head trauma, if there is some accident happening where there is injury on the head, then like in car accident or other traumatic injury, then it causes epilepsy. Then brain conditions that cause damage to the brain, such as brain tumors or strokes. You know that strokes, it is a condition where it may be of two types, ischemic and hemorrhagic strokes, and cause epilepsy. Stroke is a leading cause of epilepsy in adult older than 35. So in stroke, there is ischemic stroke, where there is sudden stop of blood supply to the brain to a particular area, which can lead into epilepsy. And hemorrhagic stroke are those strokes where there is bleeding in this certain region of the brain, which can result in epilepsy. So stroke is a leading cause of epilepsy. Then there are some infectious disease such as meningitis, or that is in meningitis is nothing but inflammation of meninges, that is 3 layers of brain, that is arachnoid matter, dura mater and pia mater. Then AIDS, then viral encephalitis. Viral encephalitis is the inflammation of brain caused by virus, can lead to epilepsy. Then prenatal injury, before birth babies are sensitive to brain damage that could be caused by several factors, such as an infection in the mother, poor nutrition, or oxygen deficiency. So these are the cases in a small baby before birth, which can cause the damage of brain. This brain damage can result in epilepsy or cerebral palsy. Then developmental disorder, epilepsy can sometimes be associated with the developmental disorder such as autism and neurofibromatosis. So what is autism? It is inability to communicate and interact, whereas neurofibromatosis is the tumor in brain, spinal cord and nerves. So these are some etiology which makes the neurons of the brains to release the neurotransmitter at higher rate. Genetic, head trauma, brain condition, infectious disease, prenatal injury and developmental disorders. Then after this, again the main part is to discuss about the pathogenesis of epilepsy. This question comes for 5 marks, so this flowchart you can write. That is paroxysmal discharges in cortical neurons. Paroxysmal means sudden attack or sudden or outburst or sudden discharge in cortical neurons. Cortical neurons, the neuron which are present in the cortex area of the brain, because the brain is divided into two areas, the gray matter and white matter. The gray area which constitute the outer part is cortex part, and the inside the one is called medulla. So paroxysmal discharge in cortical neurons or seizure originates from gray matter of any cortical or subcortical area. Subcortical area is the region of the brain below the cortex. So this leads to abnormal firing of neurons. Firing of neurons means that the rate at which the neurons release a neurotransmitter at synapse, that is going to become abnormal. That leads to breakdown of normal membrane conductance and inhibitory synaptic currents. So if it happens in a small area of the brain, that is locally, then it is called as focal seizure. Whereas if it happens in widely, it involves a major portion of the brain, then it is called as generalized seizure, that we have already discussed, focal seizure and generalized seizure. Then this one flowchart, then you can draw this again, where we have to write about abnormality of potassium conductance, then defects in voltage sensitive ion channels, because in axons, throughout the length of the axons we have many voltage sensitive ion channels through which the ions influx and efflux of ions take place, and that leads to polarization and depolarization, and that's why the impulse travel near the end of the axons, and because of that calcium influx take place, and because of that neurotransmitter release. So if there is defect in voltage sensitive ion channel, there will be defect in impulse conductance. Then deficiency in membrane ATPase, means membrane ATPase is the enzymes which is also called as part of the sodium pump, which is sodium pump. We know that it is called as Na plus K plus ATPase. So if there is a deficiency, then that sodium pump is also not operating correctly. So influx and efflux of sodium and potassium will not be proper, and that's disturb the polarization and depolarization, and that neuron membrane instability will cause, and that leads to seizure. Then third flow chart is a deficiency of inhibitory neurotransmitters. Inhibitory neurotransmitters are those neurotransmitters which inhibits the release of excess of neurotransmitter, and if increase in excitatory neurotransmitter. So what is happening, inhibitory neurotransmitter is decreasing and excitatory neurotransmitter is increasing, then this is going to promote abnormal neuronal activity, then it leads to seizures. So this is the topic epilepsy, that is the brain disorder. So in exam for 5 marks, you have to write about the definition, then you have to write about the symptoms, various symptoms and types. In the types, generally we have a partial seizures or generalized seizures, that is focal seizures, is again two types: simple partial and complex partial seizure, where generalized seizures is of 6 or 7 types: absence seizure, tonic seizure, atonic seizure, clonic seizure, myoclonic seizures, tonic clonic seizure, and status epilepticus. In some books they have mentioned this. In this, if the seizure is going to stay more than 5 minutes or equal to 5 minutes, generally what happens, these epileptic seizures don't stay for much. It is take place very for short period of time and the patient recovered. But in certain case, if this is status if epileptic attack is going to stay for more than 5 minutes, then this kind of seizure is called as status epilepticus, that is ongoing or without returning to normal. That is a medical emergency and it can be life threatening. Then etiology, and then finally pathogenesis. So that's where we can complete this. Thank you.